Before we dive into today's episode with Dominik Beier, let's talk about OpenFortune, the innovative platform transforming an age-old tradition into a modern marketing powerhouse. Imagine your brand wrapped inside a fortune cookie. Yep, you heard me, delivered straight to millions of eager hands. OpenFortune partners with top brands to create unforgettable experiences, blending creativity, nostalgia, and strategy in a way no one else can. So shout out to OpenFortune for making this episode of CMO Weekly possible. Welcome back to CMO Weekly, the podcast where we sit down with the world's most influential marketing leaders to uncover the strategies, stories, and innovations shaping the future of business. Today, we are beyond excited to welcome Dominik Beier, a true powerhouse in the worlds of fintech, sports marketing, and gaming. Dominik has built a career that most of us can only dream of. As the chief commercial officer at Bitpanda, he's at the helm of a €3 billion trading platform, driving revenue, shaping market strategies, and redefining what's possible in the fintech space. But his accomplishments don't stop there. Dominik has successfully scaled businesses across many industries, from his time as CEO as Interwetten Group, where he grew revenues by over 50%, to co-founding Austria's largest padel chain, Padelzone, and expanding it into Germany. His expertise and vision have left an indelible mark on every venture he touches. His impact on the sports marketing world is equally impressive, having hosted world-class ATP tennis tournaments, advising major global brands, and developing groundbreaking sponsorship platforms. Dominik's ability to innovate and lead across diverse fields is nothing short of extraordinary. So today, we'll dive into Dominik's career, unpack his thoughts on leadership and how he identifies growth opportunities, and of course, get his take on the shaping the future of marketing and business. Dominik, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for having me. I was so stoked when he said yes to coming on this podcast, just because, all the listeners just heard everything you've been into. I want to go back all the way to like you as a kid growing up, right? Did you always have this entrepreneurial spirit?
Yeah, so I grew up in Austria, and I'm the youngest of three boys. So I think it was always in my blood that I need to compete and that I need to outperform because if you're the smallest and youngest in the group of three boys. I started very early, even when I was 14, 15, I started with my first businesses. I mean, not
what were those businesses?
I was organizing events.
Okay,
in my hometown. And making solid money out of that. I started working. I went to high school in the US, did an exchange semester.
Where'd you go?
You will laugh now. I was in Nebraska.
Okay, nice.
I was really on the countryside. And this is where I probably learned a lot about, being open-minded, learning new cultures.
Completely different world.
Exactly. And I went there when I was 15. So it definitely, you grow as a personality.
Sure.
And then I finished school in Austria. I went to the military service, which is mandatory in Austria. And then I started my university, but I was always working. University and education for me was always important, but actually being on the ground and working and doing business was always for me my main motivation. So I was done with my university when I was 21 actually, which is quite early.
And around then, where was your head at, right? What was your dream job at that point?
Actually, funny enough, I always wanted to so I was always into sports. It was always my main driver. I was actually a semi-professional football player in Austria. I made my money during university with playing football. My biggest dream was always to become the CEO of a sports club, actually. Whereas now, this is not my biggest dream anymore because I think it's very political and it's quite a tougher. Also very tough to influence the business because it's very much dependent on the results on the pitch, which you cannot directly influence. But that was my biggest dream, and then I started my career, and now I'm only 33. But it's from what you've introduced me to, it sounds like I'm 50. But I've done a lot of stuff the last 12, 13 years.
There you go. And which job, whether it be the first or second company, right, like really just taught you the most, like life lessons, and what were those?
I think it's from the profiles of what I've done so far, it's been quite different. So what I always like is to experience something new and to go out of my comfort zone. So I'm not a big fan of doing the same stuff for 10 years. I like to, you need new energy, you need new impulse to try something new. And I was around about 6 years with a company called Sportradar, which is a very big data and tech company.
Yeah, they're over here.
They're over here. They're exhibiting here. Great company, now listed in the US, done an amazing job. And there, I was there for 6 years, and this was my first real proper job, right? And I was lucky enough to get a lot of responsibility very early, also to grow a kind of like a startup within the company.
Sure.
So to supply sports betting operators with marketing services all over the world. So I spent a lot of time also during that period in LATAM and in Africa and in the US. And that taught me a lot, right? If you work in a company like ScoreTrader, which is a valuation-wise a multi-billion company, and you get the chance to grow a business unit within that company, you learn a lot, you see a lot. And then I moved over to Interwetten as a CEO, which is a sports betting, one of the biggest sports betting operators in Europe. I was actually 27 when I got that opportunity, which was quite unique.
What do you think they saw in you as like a young and hungry kid that they wanted you to come in as CEO?
I mean, I think that's generally in your career. You always have to be also a bit lucky to be at the right time, at the right place, meeting the right people with the right fit.
Sure.
And I think that was a good fit because they were looking for a fresh blood, for a new person with maybe a new point of view. And not just, the next, 50, 60-year-old will want to just stabilize the business. And it's been great. I mean, it's been doing that, being 27, it puts a lot of pressure on you. It's things which you usually, some kind of step in your career, which you usually do when you're 50.
Sure.
So that I think me as a person, I learned a lot out of that.
Yeah. And talk about your leadership style there through to what you're doing now. And obviously it served you in empowering your people, but what does that look like for you?
Generally speaking, I'm a very, modern and fresh leadership style. I think all this, hierarchies and all this old style of working is not what I think is good, and it's not what I think is successful. So you need to empower your people. You need to trust them, but you need to also give a very clear vision to what you try to achieve. So I think communication and actually getting everyone on board, it's like in sports, right? I mean, I come from sports and it's the team, and it's never one individual. Well, never ever. And this is not just me saying it, I strongly believe in that. Yes, you need strong leaders. I think you see it also in politics nowadays, that people want strong leaders.
Yep.
And I think I do my best to do so and to give them a vision where any business I do needs to go into. But at the end of the day, I need to trust them. I need to trust the process. I need to empower them. And that's the only way how you can scale, right? Otherwise, it's an easy equation. If you as a person work 120%, which is mathematically not possible, but you know what I mean? That's how you say it. Or if I make 100 people better, that they can work better or more efficient of 10%, that's 100 times 10% is much more than my incremental 20%. So it's my strong belief. And again, I usually have a clear vision where I want to develop the businesses I engage with into, which has so far been luckily quite successful.
And talk about vision and seeing that vision with Padelzone, right? And talk to me about your first time playing Padel, and when did you realize, hey, this is going to become a huge thing in Europe?
That was a funny one. It was 5 years ago, and a friend of mine took me to play, and there were I think 3 or 4 courts in all over Austria, so nothing basically.
Right, that's crazy.
But he took me to play, and I, me coming from tennis and from football and doing a lot of sports in real life, I was playing that, and I was like, man, this is the coolest sport I've ever done so far.
Yeah.
So this was my moment, and I
a bug.
Exactly. I looked into it. I love strategy, and I love looking at industries, how they work, how the logics of it, and each industry is a bit different, but you can copy a lot of, you see phases of industries, and for example, where the gaming industry is now, where the crypto industry is now, where the padel industry is now, even though it's a completely different business, but the phases of the industries are usually very similar. So it was a very, very early stage phase. And I started to looking into other countries, how a business model could look like. And I was still the CEO of Interwetten back then, and writing my own business cases over the weekend and at night. And then we founded the company, and a year later, we actually sold 75% to a Swedish private equity company, which was quite a crazy ride. And now it's a super successful, well-established, it's just Austria, right? It's not a huge market.
What did you see about the game, though, that there was something about the timing, right, that you thought it was going to take up, right?
Look,
Padel's been around.
Padel's been around, and we can talk hours about it. And I think I have a lot of answers to that because I was really studying it a lot. But the only thing which I do not understand is why it did not conquer Europe earlier.
Sure.
So it came from Spain. it was in Spain. It's already very, popular for 30 years or so.
Yeah.
And then it went to Sweden. So it went from the south of Europe to the north of Europe.
Yeah.
A lot of Swedish people are having summer houses or whatever in Spain, right?
Yes.
And then it took quite a while to come from Spain to Sweden and then to the rest of Europe, which I cannot answer you why. Maybe sometimes in life it's coincidence.
Yeah. Some of those like tipping points that just something.
Exactly. Maybe somebody was the influential person.
Yeah.
I don't know. But now
Many people were.
Now it's crazily. I mean, if you look at also very famous people in the sports era, every Formula One player, every football player, they play padel and they love it.
Yeah, once it catches fire, it just keeps going.
And now it has grown on a very viral level.
Yeah.
So a lot of social media, obviously not the traditional media so far.
Yeah.
Yet, right. And that has, why it went really fast.
Yeah, same thing with pickleball. There's not a lot of the world pickleball or world padel.
It's not really on ESPN or whatever, right?
Well, it's one of those sports that are way more fun to play than watch, I think.
There's a fun study. I don't know if it's gonna remain like that or not. But in padel, actually, the people who go to watch the big events in the world, they play padel themselves. It's like in golf. You don't go to the golf event when you don't play.
Versus basketball, it's like
exactly. In basketball, football, you like the team, you like the club, you know the faces, you know the people.
It's still in its infancy though. It's
very, very early.
Yeah.
And I think it is actually a TV sport. I think it can really smash it on TV and streaming and so on.
Yeah.
Let's see. Very interesting.
I mean, we'll keep up with it and see how it goes. I want to talk about Bitpanda too, but first of all, I like asking people whenever people are in crypto, their first experience, similar to asking the same question with Padel, but your first experience with crypto and what you saw initially, because there is a learning curve with it and it is still very, very early. But what was your first experience with crypto in general? And then secondly, what made the Bitpanda opportunity right for you?
So I think generally speaking, crypto is still at quite an early stage. I think we're still onto mass adoption. We're still onto that the technology is going to get used all over in different industries. So I think it's the first big bull run took place or two of them basically. But I think the big things and the mass adoption is still to come. And I think it's just a super interesting industry. I mean, it's a super technology driven industry where you have a lot of use cases, where you have a lot of also a bit of disruption of the typical financial industry, which is very set and very saturated, right? So I think the most exciting time is still to come. And with Bitpanda, also the company was very attractive to me because it's actually Austria's first unicorn. So it's based in Austria.
Oh, so cool.
Where I'm from. And since I have my family and my daughter in Austria, it was important for me to somewhere stick around.
Yeah.
And then, I got the opportunity and to basically further grow the business.
Sure.
My mindset is always more on growth and on expansion rather than shrinking businesses or
it's a good place to be.
It's a good place to be now. And we started a journey. The company is now 10 years old. And I think we started a big journey 2 years ago when we, focused on certain topics. And it's been a very interesting ride. And so far we've been luckily very successful the last 12 to 16 months once we established that strategy to really.
And what was that strategy? What was that strategy, and what were the pain points that they were facing when they wanted to bring you on?
I think their biggest problem was always that they had a very compliant and regulated setting, which is, especially for the European market, always very good and important because it's long-term and it's sustainable. I mean, you can always make quick money, but usually that's not very sustainable. So Bitpanda has always been growing on compliance and regulatory side. It was the company with the most licenses in Europe. It was a very fragmented regulatory framework in Europe so far. And secondly, they always had an issue to market the brand and the product. So the Coinbase and Binance, you know them in the world.
They're everywhere.
They were everywhere, and they've done a good job to kind of get their brand and their product out to the mass market. So we started 1.5 years ago to change that and to say, okay, technology is very important for us, but we think we have a very strong set of technology, but we need to sell it, right? Sure. Basically, at the end of the day, it's about sales.
Yeah.
And we started that. We've built a very strong performance marketing engine, which is the foundation of our work.
Yeah.
It's affiliates, it's Google, it's paid social, and all these kind of things. And secondly, on top of that, we're building a brand which is ideally we call it love brand, right? Which is strong, which is And we want to create this premium lifestyle experience. We do not want to, throw in your face, sign up and become our customer. We want to be a community. We want that people are part of our movement. We want that people feel well about it. This is not just marketing. This is also, customer service or product. You just need to have a good time with us, and obviously participate in the market. So we need to, our 3 pillars are now a very, very strong product, which we already have. So we need to further build on that. And we always want to be the first mover in terms of product offering to the customers in a regulated and safe way. This is very important.
Yeah.
Secondly, we want to have the best customer operations and service in certain territories which we target. So we don't want just the chatbot to talk to you or whatever. We really want to cater your needs as a customer in your language, in the time which you want to talk to us. And the third one is to build that love brand, right?
Yeah.
That everyone, that premium lifestyle feeling, you want to participate, you want to be part of it. And it's not a thing. It's not a one-day thing, but I think we're, from the numbers and the figures and the traction which we get, it's super, super positive.
Yeah.
Actually.
Absolutely. And I love what you guys have been doing. That's how you got on my radar too, just from a brand awareness perspective with like leagues and teams that I know, right? So whether it be the NFL or Bayern Munich, right? What about those teams, leagues that made them the right choice? And also selling that into must have been not the easiest thing, because it's brand awareness is not just like, hey, we're going to put in $1, we're going to get a bag of $1.20, right?
So that was a good question. That was back in the days, it was very performance driven, Bitpanda, and this is exactly why maybe we have missed out on that brand part, but maybe also the market time was not ready enough. And I think now we're ready, we as a company at the market. So when I built my strategy and proposed it to the founders, and it's Bitpanda is still majority founder owned, which is cool, right? Because decision making processes are quite quick.
Yep.
And it's amazing story.
That's huge. That is, you guys are a unicorn.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like not.
Yeah, and it's quite big.
Yeah, that is amazing.
And when I pitched that strategy to the founders, I said, look, first market and territory which we need to own is the DACH region, right? Austria, Germany, Switzerland, because that's 100 million people. This is our home turf. Yeah. So we need to own it. And who can you partner up with in football, which is mass market? You need to partner up with Bayern Munich. I mean, I don't know how much you're into football, but
yeah.
Bayern Munich is the team, right? Yeah. So I said, if our ambition is to be the number 1 in Germany, we need to partner up with the best.
With the best.
So we do that in the media space. We have exclusive deals with Sky and DAZN, which are the biggest sports media companies in that area. We do that with Bayern Munich, and it took us a while because obviously they did a very tough due diligence on us.
Yeah.
The crypto space.
We're going to give us away for free.
Exactly. But we surpassed that, and now this is massively paying off. We use their players to advertise in Germany.
Very cool.
We're doing a lot of events together with them. Obviously, we're running all over their boards and the camp carpet. So, and now we're trying to replicate that into our other main territories, which is also France and Italy. So we just signed a deal with Paris Saint-Germain in France, and a couple of months ago with AC Milan in Italy. And again, we always want to partner also with a brand which understands our approach to premium lifestyle. Because if you look at Paris, they're very much, they're more a fashion brand than a football club.
Right?
Same with AC Milan. They're also, very much into fashion, music. We want to go into that area as well besides sports.
Yeah, they're always on top of culture.
Exactly, culture. What is important for the people right now, especially this target audience of people between 25 and 40 with some income,
Sure.
They like music, they like sports, they like to have a good time, they like to eat well. So this is exactly what we try to represent as a company as well.
Very, very cool. I think you guys have done an awesome job. What's next for y'all?
What's next? We want to, it's funny enough, this crypto industry is basically dominated by 10, 12 players in the world. The trading side, right? The exchange and broker side. I think due to the work which we have done as a company the last years, we're part of that group, which is amazing. And I think we further want to basically own Europe because that's our home turf.
Yeah.
And the other one's mainly coming from Asia and the US. So it's actually just us and one more competitor coming from Europe. And we want to own the European market because we think we understand it better. But we need to show that. We need to execute our strategy further. We need to also, further grow, take some risk. But I think we are now on the right track and path to really grow that business into the next phase.
Yeah, I mean, you've done some awesome work in your career. And if there's a lot of marketers listening now, but if you could give one piece of advice to aspiring leaders in that marketing commercial space, what would it be?
Well, for me, and it's really the most important is to be authentic and to do stuff which you like as a person. Because if you like it, you will do a good job, and money comes. Yeah, I mean, it's comes by itself, right? If you do something which you like, and you can do business with anything in life, right?
Yes.
If you like it, if you surround yourself with good people, very, very important advice from my side. Never do anything for too long where you have a bad feeling. It's the same as in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Don't stick too long with something which does not feel good for you. There's always phases, so you need to also be tough in certain periods in your career. But if whatever 2, 3, 4 months things don't change and the energy is bad, then do something else. I mean, usually that the average lifetime is what is it, 85 years or whatever.
Yeah.
So don't waste too much time on states which don't have positive energy.
Yeah, it was like somebody told me we live like 10,000 weeks. Yeah, it's not that long. And that to be like 80. And even if you're 100, it's like 12,000 or whatever. Like it's not that much long.
100%. And I'm now 33, and so I've less than 2/3 of my life to live.
Yeah.
And I really just do stuff which I like, where I think I'm surrounded by people who also value your work, and where you can really make an impact, right? And
Absolutely.
I think you always need those opportunities are out there all the time. Nowadays, that the world is so connected to each other. You can do anything.
So many opportunities compared to when our parents were around. There's no.
But I think what is also important to stick if there's an opportunity, and if you're on a growth path, and if you're doing something which you're doing good, and don't always just do something else tomorrow, right? Yes, if it's negative energy for too long, do something else. But it's also, I think, a problem in our generation that, I mean,
our parents stayed in touch for 20 years.
Exactly.
We're like changing every year.
Exactly. So you have to find that middle ground, I think, then you're off for a very good career.
Absolutely. We talked a lot about your career. I'd love to talk a little bit about just your personal life as well, and just like something you're proud of there.
I mean, the proudest I think every father can have is a little child, right? My daughter is now 2 years old, and I think it also gives you perspective on everything in life. It's what you live for. It's kids. That's what remains in your life. So I can just recommend to have kids to everyone, although it makes your private life very complicated, because they don't really care what you're working, and they don't even understand what you're working.
Yeah. Aren't you explaining cryptocurrency to your 2-year-old?
Exactly, and why daddy has to fly out or whatever. But no, I think at the end of the day, in my private life, I was lucky to grow up in a very stable family and surrounding. I was lucky enough to see from my education, I spent another half year in Hawaii actually when I was 20. During my studies, I lived in New York. I lived in Germany, so I was lucky to see a lot of things. And I'm just even though I'm just 33, I'm a super happy person. I just love what I'm doing. I get up in the morning every day. I like it. And I think that's what I value most. And it's not money. I'm not striving for a certain amount to have earned. I'm just, living life. I enjoy it. I'm happy with myself. And I think as long as you're happy with yourself, you can be happy with other people, right? So if it's in your relationship, if it's in your job, and once you're not happy with yourself, and yeah, I'm lucky to be so. That's also why I have so much energy for so many things I'm doing at the moment.
Awesome, man. Well, it's really, really like you can feel the energy and the positive energy and the fact that you really love this stuff, right? Just
100%. And I love sports. I love crypto. I love a fast-paced industry.
Sure.
It's the gaming industry.
Definitely found it.
And crypto and sports, it's always fast-paced. It's fast-moving. You meet so many interesting people. You meet so many inspiring people who have gone through stuff which you have gone through as well, or which you will go through. So you can learn a lot. Everything in life has happened before, right?
It's itself.
Exactly. So just listen to people, talk to them, ask them questions. And I think that's what drives you as a personality.
There we go. Well, I appreciate you sitting down with me while I ask you some questions. We're going to start wrapping it up, and hit our quick question round, and then we'll get you on your way. All right. But Dom, appreciate awesome. Favorite rom-com?
Favorite what?
Rom-com, romantic comedy. Or movie.
I'm not so much into movies, actually. I don't really have time to watch movies and series, to be honest. And I cannot give an answer on that.
Best spot to eat in Europe?
It's probably in Italy somewhere.
Person you'd most want to sit down to dinner with.
Steve Jobs.
In 40 years from now, what will people be nostalgic for?
Less time on phones.
Favorite city in the world?
Vienna.
Is it okay to sleep with socks on?
Yes.
There we go. Top 3 brands right now.
Apple, Tesla, and Bitpanda.
And 10 years from now, where do you think we could catch you?
Just going to be doing something which is fun for me and surrounding myself with good people.
There you go, man. Well, I'm excited to catch up with you in 10 years and see how this goes.
See, let's do that.
Dom, good luck on your journey, man.
Appreciate it.
I'm excited to keep up with it.
Thanks for your time.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Okay.